In the last segment, we talked to Nathan J. Robinson about utopias and why we both feel, he and I, that it is valuable to keep a hold of utopia, to keep a hold of a positive vision of the world you want to bring into being. And I mentioned that it energizes me in my day-to-day work here in Washington, D.C., and in following the sometimes dreary and foot-slogging politics of the day, to know that in my heart, I believe a better world is possible, and that vision of a better world makes it possible for me to get through my day. Now, I was thinking about this in the context of, and I hate to be one of those reductionists who reduces everything to the presidential campaign. I think one of the problems with the left is that we think always in terms of the next presidential campaign and not in terms of building a movement, not in terms of electing leaders from the bottom up, not in terms of doing things besides electing leaders, like pushing for issues and educating one another and building solidarity. But all that said, the conversation with Nathan did make me think about the presidential race, and particularly what I read recently about the way that Elizabeth Warren, senator and potential presidential candidate, is distinguishing herself from my old boss, Bernie Sanders, senator and potential presidential candidate once again in 2020. And the reason why I thought about it is because now I think they're both great. And I have very positive feelings about Elizabeth Warren. Obviously, I have a little loyalty to the person I used to work for, but I think Warren's great. Okay, that said, though, I have a little concern about an article I read in BuzzFeed, because she's being asked a lot nowadays, how does she distinguish herself from Bernie Sanders? If they both run, and I think there's a good chance they both will, they'll both need to differentiate one from the other. Now, here's the answer that, according to the reporter for BuzzFeed, Elizabeth Warren gives when she's asked that question. She says her answer is, quote, "He's a socialist and I believe in markets." Okay, so, and then the reporter goes on to say, if Bernie Sanders is leading a political revolution, then Elizabeth Warren is waging a different kind of fight, more tactical and methodical. So I think this is a mistake. I think it's a big mistake by Elizabeth Warren, and I think she really needs to reconsider it. And for exactly the reasons that I was laying out before I read from this story, that's that we need an inspirational vision, number one. And being tactical and methodical has really led the Democratic Party into the political abyss it found itself in, culminating in the election of 2016. It may do better this in 2018. Let's hope it does. But the fact is, without a vision, there is no energy. And I think purely on factual grounds, I disagree with Senator Warren. I do not believe in markets. I think markets have been an abysmal failure. I think they've failed to produce what they've promised, what rhetoricians of both Democratic and Republican persuasions have been trying to tell us they will produce. I think that we need to think more about the role of government in the economy, and I'm not alone in feeling that way. Most young voters agree with me, according to the polls, because most young voters say they want a stronger government role in the economy, and so do most voters of color. So I'm going to suggest to Senator Warren respectfully that she reconsider.